The cheapest ticket to the World Cup final used to cost $200. This year, that same cheapest seat costs over $2,000, and the most expensive ones climbed past $10,000, with hospitality packages reported near $16,000. For the first time in the tournament's history, the price of a World Cup ticket changes by the hour, like a plane fare. Fans are calling it a betrayal. Two American attorneys general are calling it something else, an investigation. So here's exactly what happened to World Cup ticket prices in 2026, the real numbers, where the money goes, and why regulators in New York and New Jersey are now demanding answers. None of this is exaggerated for a thumbnail. If anything, it's worse than the headlines made it sound. For every World Cup before this one, a ticket had a fixed price. You knew what a seat cost, and that was the price for everyone. In 2026, FIFA did something it had never done at a World Cup: dynamic pricing. The number isn't fixed anymore, it floats. An algorithm watches demand and pushes the price up as interest climbs. It's the same machinery that makes a flight cost more the second time you search it. The United States is hosting 78 of the 104 matches, and its loose rules around ticketing gave FIFA the room to try it here. So they did, on the biggest sporting event on Earth.
Here's what makes dynamic pricing different and why fans hate it so much. With a normal ticket, the price is printed. Everyone pays the same, and you can plan for it months ahead. With dynamic pricing, there is no fixed number. The price you see depends on when you look, how many other people are looking, and an algorithm you never get to see. Two fans sitting in identical seats can pay wildly different amounts, and neither one knows what the other paid. It was built for concerts and airlines, where squeezing every last dollar out of demand is the entire point. Now it has been pointed at the World Cup, an event that has always sold itself as the people's tournament. That's the contradiction at the heart of this whole story.
Let's start at the bottom, with the cheapest seats, the ones that are supposed to exist for ordinary fans. In Qatar, 4 years ago, the cheapest group stage ticket cost about $11. In 2026, the cheapest group stage ticket is around $100. That is nearly 9 times more money for the worst seat in the building, not the good seats, the cheapest ones, up almost 900% in a single tournament cycle. And remember, that's the floor. That's the best deal in the entire World Cup. So watch what happens as you climb.
The final will be played in New Jersey. When tickets first went on sale, FIFA's most expensive seats for that match were listed at $6,700. By the spring sales windows, the same category had climbed to $10,990, and the hospitality packages, the premium experiences, have been reported close to $16,000 for one football match. For comparison, the most expensive ticket to the entire 2022 World Cup in Qatar was around $1,600.
But here is the single number that tells the whole story. The cheapest seat for the 2026 final now costs about $2,000. In 2022, the most expensive final ticket FIFA sold was around $1,600. Read that again slowly. The worst seat at this World Cup final costs more than the best seat did at the last one. The bottom of the 2026 market is now more expensive than the top of the 2022 market. That's not inflation. That's a different business model.
And think about who's supposed to be in those stands. This is the North American World Cup. Games in New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, Seattle, Toronto, Vancouver. The fans who live closest to it, the people who waited their whole lives for the tournament to finally come home to this continent, are exactly the ones being quietly priced out of the room. A family of 4 that could have planned a trip to a group game now has to think about a mortgage payment instead. The fans noticed immediately. Football Supporters Europe, the largest organized fan group on the continent, called the prices extortionate. And they went further than money. They called it a monumental betrayal of the tradition of the World Cup. They asked FIFA to stop selling tickets entirely until it fixed the system. A separate group of supporters took a formal complaint all the way to the European Commission.
This was not a few angry posts online. This was organized, and it was loud. And then it stopped being just anger and started being a legal problem.
The Attorneys General of New York and New Jersey, the state that's actually hosting the final, opened an investigation into how these tickets were sold. According to those regulators, fans report they were misled about where their seats would even be. And investigators are examining something more serious: whether FIFA released tickets in deliberate, staggered waves, a trickle at a time, to manufacture the appearance of scarcity, push the algorithm, and drive the price even higher. Think about what that would mean. It's the difference between a sold-out show and a show that was made to look sold out. That's the question that turns expensive into something you say out loud. Was the shortage real, or was it built?
And this isn't a one-off mistake. It fits a pattern. The 2026 World Cup is the biggest and most commercial in history, expanded to 48 teams and 104 matches, with more games, more sponsors, and more money flowing through it than any tournament before. Critics argue that's the real story here, that the sport's governing body has spent years optimizing the World Cup for revenue first and supporters second, and that the ticket prices are simply the moment that strategy became impossible to hide. You can agree or disagree, but it's hard to look at a cheapest seat that costs $2,000 and call it an accident. So how did FIFA respond to all of this? With a new $60 supporter ticket, available for every match, even the final. And on paper, that sounds like the fix everyone wanted. It isn't. Those $60 seats make up only about 1/10 of each country's ticket allocation, which works out to a few hundred seats in stadiums built to hold 80,000 people. It is exactly enough to put out a press release. It is nowhere near enough to actually get you through the gate. So is the 2026 World Cup rigged against the people who love it most? Officially, no. Nobody has been charged with anything, and FIFA is entitled to set its prices. But when the cheapest seat costs more than last tournament's most expensive one, when regulators are asking whether the scarcity was engineered, and when the biggest fan groups on the planet are using the word betrayal, the beautiful game starts to look an awful lot like the expensive one. So I'll leave the real question with you, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments. At these prices, is the World Cup still for the fans, or has it finally priced them out for good? Tell me below. I read them. And if you'd rather follow this tournament with the numbers laid out straight and no spin, subscribe. Because there is a lot more about this World Cup they're quietly hoping you don't look at too closely.